Good evening. Welcome to Only One United Talking Reds. Next stop, the Theatre of Dreams. How great does that sound? Joining me tonight is Maisie, which is great again. And how you doing, Maisie?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you? And brilliant to be back on again.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you on. And also Namrata, where it's technically Saturday morning. Is that right?
Yeah. Half an hour into Saturday. I'm so excited because this is the last time on the podcast before you guys turn back the clocks. That was actually the pitch. That was actually the pitch which Andy sold me to come here. He's like, "This is the last time. Then next time you can sleep at the right time."
She says pitch, slight beg, pitch beg. But we're amongst friends. Well, at least you get to say that the game's tomorrow, technically.
Yeah.
And obviously, great to have the founder of the channel on tonight as well, Vix. Put a face to the busy bee in the comments. How you doing?
All right, yeah, excited for Sunday. 2 more sleeps.
This is it. So as Vix mentions, and obviously hello to everyone there in the comments. But I think that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, it's two more sleeps till we play at Old Trafford, and I think tonight that's sort of where we'll start, because obviously, I thought just for the occasion I'll rep the old 2018 Freds here from our championship season. And when you think that we were formed in 2018 as a championship side, and now we're playing in Old Trafford, it just shows how far we've come, doesn't it, Maisie?
Oh yeah, definitely. When you did look at it in 2018, we was only a brand new team, and it could have gone either way, to be honest, because we haven't had a women's team in such a long time. But the dedication of the girls to where it has got to today has played such a big part of that, and it makes you proud to be a supporter of Manchester United.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and I think we'll probably go into that, how it's been promoted, so heavily this week, and how we're really looking forward to it. Obviously, I'll ask the same question to you, Namrata. I mean, obviously you're a global Red, but obviously Old Trafford is the home of Man United. So what does Old Trafford mean to you, was playing there?
I think it means everything for a United fan. I've been watching United for years now, and even though I'm like thousands of miles away, it's always been Old Trafford. That's like my friends and who've also been following United for a while, we always say like it's a pilgrimage to one day go to Old Trafford and watch United. So I think it's really amazing. And when Casey was here, and she used to say, we don't need to play at Old Trafford till the time we sell out LSV, but right now when that match is so close, it just feels so special, and it's great that we're finally having a match there with fans.
Yeah, completely. And I think it just says, I think people have called it their Mecca, and obviously those that are men's fans get to go there often. It makes you feel that it's actually my first time at Old Trafford on Sunday. I've actually never been, even though I live obviously quite close to Manchester. Well, I think Vix's internet's just having a little wobble as well, but I think hopefully she's still there. But I think it's one of those things really where as when it was announced when we were playing. I mean, I'll let it back in a second. When we were playing Everton in the away fixture, it was announced that we were going to play at Old Trafford, and it was almost quite far away, and now it's 2 days' time. It's great to see, really, isn't it? But I thought it'd be quite interesting as well, just to sort of look at Old Trafford. So obviously, it's the 11th biggest stadium in Europe, and it's the biggest club stadium in the UK. Which I think I'll remind people of that on Sunday, where there's some possible empty space, if it isn't completely looking as full. I mean, do you think possibly that's why Maisie is taking a while to get to a point where we're going to get a large people at Old Trafford?
Yeah, I think it is going to take time. Numerous of factors that I feel like the game in itself really does need to grow. I know from this time last year to now it has grown massively, but sorry, a lot of people were saying like, we should be playing all our games at Old Trafford, and as much as you'd love to see that specialness, you would love to see nights at Old Trafford, the days at Old Trafford, because all of us here will have memories of Old Trafford, if that is from a TV screen, if that's being there face to face. We have got memories of Old Trafford. So you look at it and you think, having the Old Trafford in itself, bringing our ladies in it with a crowd, it's always going to be difficult. And to have a lot of empty seats in particular, you'd look at it in that kind of way to think, you don't want them to think, oh, there's no one wanting to come to watch me kind of thing, even though they will have that support. They might have, 10,000 people, but the stadium's like 7 times bigger than that. And then it still looks empty. But I think it is good to have that couple of special days in the season, just so they can experience Old Trafford. I just think at the moment it is better to have them set days.
Yeah, completely. And obviously, getting the Karen here, excitement levels off the scale. Yeah, definitely. I think we're getting there. Vix, hopefully the gremlins have gone a bit.
I'm back. This is because I have to go to Old Trafford on Mother's Day. My mother's in the room watching Netflix. I think she just sucked all the bandwidth up.
Yeah, when she said she thinks she thinks she's watching Netflix, what she's actually doing is got a little pair of scissors in your router, and it's just sort of slowly.
Must need a cup of tea.
So what? Obviously, we're just talking about Old Trafford. Obviously, you're like a lot of fans. You support the men's and the women's. What does the girls playing at Old Trafford mean to you, Vix?
I just think it's a quality, isn't it? You know, they're a Manchester United team, and you see all the under-18s, under-23 lads playing there. And now the women get to play there with fans. I mean, they did a great job last year, didn't they, when it was behind closed doors, with, the coverage and all the things around it. But I just think we'll all be a mess on Sunday. We'll all be in floods of tears when they come out. Well, because that's how every Manchester United team should have it, really. I know at the minute you can't just, we're victim of the fact that our home stadium's like the biggest one in the country, isn't it?
Yeah, biggest club stadium in the UK.
Capacity. You're not gonna host women's games there on a regular basis until it grows substantially. But I just think, and obviously we have so many Man United fans in the team, don't we? So you'll be like, Diane. I can just imagine that. I could just hear Nat's voice in me going, Diane, Builder.
I think we all can. I think that's it's such a just seeing Karen here, just agreeing with you, saying there are lots of ugly crying on Sunday. Well, hopefully in a good sense. I mean, I think obviously we'll go on to the game as well in a second, which obviously is against Everton, which fingers crossed should be relatively straightforward. But we don't want to jinx ourselves. But no, I think just pitch on the equality side. I think it is important, isn't it? That like it just shows that United have bought into the women's team, and irrespective of what you might see on social media, I mean, to be honest, I think United could give away free £50 notes, and some people would be like, that's not enough. Like there's literally nothing that they could do. I saw a great post on social media where some guy was basically saying about these really fantastic posters that are around outside Old Trafford, saying, well, they don't know there's a game on, and they don't, why doesn't it tell you where to buy tickets? It's called a poster, not a novel. Like, I mean, the general idea, you go, oh,
well, you're already there, so
exactly. That's a women's team. Oh, Man United got I've got a thing called a mobile phone. Oh, well, they have got a women's team. Oh,
there's even a mega store though. There's a ticket and say
exactly.
There's a mega store where you can go and say, oh, why is all this decorated? There's literally behind Old Trafford, there's a ticket and sales building. They could literally go in there and buy the tickets.
And it's like they would say, oh, they don't know when the game is and don't know how to buy the tickets and all this kind of stuff. I'm just like, have a day off. Seriously,
I mean, hang around Old Trafford randomly, do you? Really?
It's just, and they're really. I don't know if you've seen the pictures now on social media. That there's some great great pictures. And I particularly love the one of Mary where she just looks genuinely chuffed. She's sitting there next to a picture of her on Old Trafford, and she's just like, what the hell? I mean, it must be so great for her, mustn't it?
Yeah, and I think in general, I think the response from fans has been really good. I mean, you're always going to have the odd trolls on social media who'll find, as you said, we could we could be playing that every single match, and people will still find people will ask, oh, why are we playing every single match at Old Trafford? Are we so wealthy? And look at all these poor teams in WSL; they don't have a full team to put out. Why are United flaunting their wealth? So you can't really win them over, but. I think one of the things that I saw today was a lot. There was a post. I forgot who put it, but a lot of Arsenal fans were looking at it and they're like, "I wish Arsenal did that." And I think if you have a rival fan, and especially from a team which is one of the most successful and one of the most oldest teams in England, and you have fans who are really looking up to United, I think that's the best compliment that United can get right now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the current theme is change the game, which is obviously relating to equality, but also I think if I look back on the days of 2018, I remember, we went there and, Nat obviously and others, when we still started at Lee and others, they were basically told to be quiet at a football game. And we still kind of occasionally get that. I mean, do you think the culture's changed in the WSL, Vic, from what you've seen this season? I think they are trying to get a bit better. I mean, we are changing the game, aren't we?
Well, let's face it, they were never going to keep Nat quiet, were they? That was never going to happen. But this is the thing, we're here to disrupt the natural order of things, and that's why people hate us, the ones who just wanted to keep it to themselves. And now I mean, even City turned up, didn't they, when they came last time with a few songs? I thought I was hallucinating. I was like, oh.
To be honest,
you usually. But
do you mean at Lee or at the Etihad? Because I think what you're referring to the Etihad.
They was quite good, weren't they?
Yeah, I was going to say,
because more than one word.
Because at the Academy Stadium, I think it might have been the beginnings of hypothermia that what you were experiencing rather than anything else.
And I finally met the drum guy. I finally met him. Yes, I seen
him. Does he wear kickers and have a dodgy mustache, or is that just a stereotype?
It's a stereotype.
But yeah, just no. I think I think this is it, and that's what brought me over, because I'm a bit strange. You probably could tell for other reasons, but in one respect because I just follow the women's game, and I mean one of the things that brought me over as a United fan is the fact that we support our players, and I can't think of anything more disrespectful than sitting there quiet when they're in front of you. Potentially putting themselves at a lot of risk with injuries and giving their heart out. And when they score, the best you get is.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we've experienced. So I'm proud that, as a fan base, we give them a lot better than that. And people are starting to copy us, even though it is quite amusing to hear Blue Army instead of Red Army off Chelsea and a few others. But they do say that imitation is the sincerest, form of flattery. But yeah, and I think obviously looking a bit towards the game, because that's another thing as well. It's not just a big party; it's a football match, so we've got to win it. What obviously you might remember the 1-1 fun in the park we had before Christmas, Namrata, when we were playing Everton. Do you think we'll get it sorted on Sunday?
Yeah, I don't even remember that match, if I'm honest with you. It was so, I think this season, it's like 3 seasons in one. We started off like a disaster, then we went on that amazing run, and now we're again a little bit shaky. But I think Everton are kind of struggling at the moment because they've had 2 manager changes within one season. And, the last match, I think they lost 4-0 or something against City. So, I think, as you said, it should be quite straightforward, but they'll they'll also be itching to kind of spoil our party. It's a big occasion for them as well. I don't think they got that much attendance when they were at Goodison Park themselves. So it's a big occasion even for the fans. And I think it's going to be a comfortable win. And I think from our end, it's not just about. I know at the end of the day, it's just a football match, and we want them to get the 3 points and score goals and improve on the goal difference. But I think because this is such a huge occasion, the team will be really looking to put in a dominating performance in this match.
Well, just because we have a couple of Everton fans, just over our channel, let me remind them about what happened when they played at Goodison. They lost 4-0 to City. And it was in front of 5,000 fans, and hopefully, obviously, there's talk that at least 25,000 has been sold. Hopefully, a bit more. What's your view on the game, the actual football match on Sunday, Maisie?
With this game on Sunday, I think that if you look at that game from that 1-1 draw to now, we have definitely changed as a team, because back when it was that 1-1 draw, we was adapting still to Matt Skinner. We had brand new players there. We wasn't playing without a CDM, so there was many factors of what was different in terms of that squad. But since it's actually been since the Everton game is where we really did make that change. Because it felt like we started to work better as a team. Matt Skinner started to realise what the team really needed, who can get the best out of this team. And he managed to get, and then we've seen it at Brighton, we've seen it at Aston Villa, and we continued to see that until, of course, we had that horrible February month. And that
was just painful, man. I'm not just talking about the travel.
It was painful. It was absolutely painful, but there's not too much we can do, especially when we've had so many injuries there as well. But we've got 4 players coming back too. So that is a positive. And I definitely agree with what Namrata was saying there. Everton hasn't been too good at all. Because last season, they was basically fighting for what we wanted, the top 3. People say we was on level with Everton in terms of the quality because of like where we were. It's like us both was challenging for that 4th spot as well as Everton. We was challenging for 3rd, and so was Everton. So it just felt like we was in that battle war. But this season, Everton's and we've gone up again. So it should be a comfortable win. But at Old Trafford, the expectations, just because of the venue alone, is gonna raise massive level, and I think the girls will want to definitely get a win at Old Trafford, because I think they will feel extremely disappointed, especially going into Old Trafford with a crowd.
Yeah, I think it's going to be electric. I think you're right. I mean, essentially, Everton's now, and there's only 12 teams in the league, but Everton, I think, is now in a position a bit where you have to scroll a bit to see where they are. They're sort of down there really somewhere, and and that's the thing. But I'll ask the same question to you, Vix, now about the game, but maybe just answer Ravi's question here. How quickly do United women need to break down Everton? I want to smash them in the first 5 minutes. I don't know about you.
Yeah, for me, they just need to start how they did against Reading. I mean, Leslie nearly scored within about 20 seconds. That first 20 minutes, we could have been about 5-0 up. And then if you think about that game at Goodison with City, they were up really quickly, weren't they? Was it 3-0 by half-time or something like that? And we need to treat it like like the home games at Lee, against Birmingham and Villa and Leicester, because they're in that pack, aren't they? Come out fast, but use Old Trafford to inspire them. Because it's a dream, isn't it? Go out and take over. They've all got the ability to do it. I think with our pace, if you think of Leah and Leslie, out wide, maybe you have Brun centrally if she's fit enough, because that's what we were short of in Reading, the real natural goal scorer put away some of those chances.
Yeah, I think we were injury FC. Well, not as much at Reading, but at West Ham, it was a bit threadbare. We got caught out right at the end of the game, because that's never happened before earlier in the season. Honest, no, it was one of those where I think, hopefully now that's been the benefit of a week and a half. Now, I mean, obviously it looks like Namrata that we've got Hayley Ladd and Brun back. I mean, how important are they going to be for Sunday?
I think Hayley Ladd is important no matter which game you play, right? I think she's the balance to the midfield, and a lot of United/Barcelona fans will not really agree with that. But I think, but she is. I think we always struggle when she isn't playing, and the midfield doesn't work how it's supposed to. The defense doesn't work how it's supposed to, and the whole team, it kind of, it feels really shaky without her. And for me, having her back is a huge plus. I don't really, and I mean, Zelim has been doing really well, but again, I say she's not a defensive midfielder, and I don't want to risk her playing there in such a huge match. And Bruni hasn't scored a goal yet for us, so what an occasion it would be if she scores at Old Trafford, her first match. And I think Torres' daughter has been back as well. So I think that was my biggest concern, because I just want to have two healthy centre backs play in a match like this. So yeah, it's good to have all of them back, and hopefully we'll have options off the bench. And yeah, I know Manny and Millie are not there this time, so hopefully next time we have a match at Old Trafford versus City, and both of them can play there.
Yeah, no, I think this is it. And obviously we've been watching some of the content this week from Old Trafford, with from United as well. And I think the big, a lot of our girls have played for England, but obviously, like I know Vix will be able to attest to this, and Maisie, the England in the stadium anyway. The England games are pretty quiet. I would say they're a lot quieter than our games. So I think what I'm looking forward to is like a wall of noise, which I think we're going to provide. And I think if I don't remember the game too much from last year, but I did hear today that someone was saying that we were a bit wobbly against West Ham initially because of the occasion, even though there was no fans there. I mean, how do you think we're going to start, Maisie? I would like to think they're just going to come out with a lot of adrenaline and really be firing from the whistle.
Yeah, I think that's exactly how we will come out and play, to be honest. We have done that before, and it's been effective, just as Victor said. It's words against Leicester, words against Reading, words against Villa, words against Brighton. So if you look at them games in particular and you know it's working, Everton is roughly around what they are all doing right now. So we should be able to come in early, start quickly, and get a goal or so. We know that it's not going to always work every single game to have that high adrenaline, and that we're going to have to score very quickly, because not all games it can work. But in these games in particular, when we are playing against the Evertons, I think it can work. And for me, their back four is quite open for me. So especially when they have a more open back four, it allows a lot more space there for the players to get in. And especially if Brun does make a start, if that's coming on or off the bench, she doesn't there have to like, how can I say, go into narrow spaces, because the games she has played, it's been difficult games for her. She's had to play against how we'd say the big three. So having to get into this game where I'm not saying the expectations aren't as big, but it's a team where you can feel like you are able to get a goal, unlike the other teams she's played in the past.
Yeah, I think this is it. I mean, I think I might have said it in other places, but I repeat it here. I think I see the Everton as a bit of a training dummy for us. I think we could really, or a sparring partner, if you will. We can really rattle up that goal difference, because if you have a look on the table, we need to. Because Chelsea, because City are at 16 and we're at 19 goal difference. And obviously they, I believe, still have their game in hand, or very close to. So I think we do need to actually score as many as we can against your Evertons and against your Villas, to hopefully give us the best chance for the top three. See, Chloe's got a question here as well. I'll put this to you, Vix. and maybe others as well who want to jump in. What do you think the atmosphere will be like on Sunday from both sets of fans? Do you think it will hype up both teams for the occasion?
I don't think there'll be many Everton fans there, to be honest. I bet there'll be about 20.
They've got a coach.
But no, we'll all be hyped up because we're in Jay's stand, aren't we? So if anyone is planning to go and they want to come and sing with us, I hope they do. But yeah, we're going to be so hyped, and we tend to vibe off each other, don't we? The players and the fans. So I think it'll be more intimidating for Everton than anything. I don't think it'll hype them up because we're already on a low point, aren't they? So, I mean, we come out fast, 6-0, by half time.
Jackie scores. Jackie scores.
Yeah, Jackie scores. Run scores. You can all have a goal. Why not? But, yeah.
You have a goal. You have a goal. You have a goal. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think start fast and they can enjoy it, can't they? Because we know once we get 2 ahead, we settle.
Well, we need to settle in the sense of calm down, but not settle, Skinner, in the sense of stop, trying to hammer the goals in, because I do think it could go to goal difference. I mean, where do you see the goals are going to come from on Sunday, Namrata?
Can they all score one? Can it be like 11-0 or something? 93rd minute.
Mary might be a bit more difficult to achieve, but I'll let you have that.
Like 93rd minute, there's a corner. Mary Earps is up front trying to score a goal. I want that. So, no, I think I know a lot of people will say that we want a close match, because it has to be a good advert for women's football. But I'm really selfish and I don't want that. I don't really care about having a close match, because I think fans who usually go to Old Trafford to watch the men's team, they've had enough of close matches. So we should have, in fact, like a really dominating fans. Yeah, I'll say draws. I won't go that far. But yeah. I think what's really important is, not just the goals, it's the kind of performance that you want from the team. Ideally the fans who will be watching the women's team for the first time, I want them to look at this team and just have this moment like, oh my God, they play just like United should do. And during halftime, you're going to have the under 21s present their trophy that they won. So there's also going to be that link that this team also has that fundamental tradition of United of bringing the youth through. So a good free flowing kind of football, really dominating display. It's fine. I think 2-0, 3-0, it doesn't matter, but it has to be. The performance has to be the United way. It has to be something that kind of excites the fan and excites the fans. And, myself, I became like, one of the reasons I started following this team so closely was because I had become a bit disillusioned with the men's team. And I looked at this team and I thought, this is the reason I started following United. And this is the exact team. And, and that's why I've stuck through. And we just want a few of those people who turn up at Old Trafford and even watch on TV, because it's an occasion. So you're going to have a lot more people watch it as well. So some of them, even if some of them start following the girls regularly and turn up at LSV, I think that is what we want from this match. And honestly, it doesn't matter who scores the goals. I think, I'm a sucker for stories. And so I would want one academy graduate to score a goal. But for me, the dream is Diane Calwell scoring a goal, because that is a story that I relate to most, because like a kid growing up, traveling to Old Trafford, die-hard fan, plastering all the posters on her wall, almost, hadn't been playing club football for a while, came in January, had the worst kind of fixtures you could get in February. All the other centre backs were out injured, and for her to play and score at Old Trafford, that's going to be really special.
Yeah, I think this is what's so amazing when you look at Diane. She is a fan on the pitch. I've really enjoyed that, and obviously there was content this week with David De Gea and Mary, where she was fangirling as much as he was fanboying. To be honest, there was an element of a real love there, and you could tell she was like, "Blooming heck, I'm actually having a conversation with Man United's number one goalkeeper," and I liked the mutual respect that they had with each other as essentially two professional football players. I don't know if you saw that as well, Vix.
Yeah, and it's what we've been wanting for ages, because I mean, he's always been one who will comment on Mary's posts and the goalkeeper union, and he's probably the best at it out of everyone. He'll share posts and everything. Yeah,
he likes every single post of Ona on Instagram.
At least you can say "please stay" in Spanish, so he can help us out a little bit.
But he's a really good role model that way, and I do think if more of the men's team players made that sort of effort, people who follow the men's team will buy into it because their idols do, because of this attitude towards women's football. If they can see their idols are for it, because there's obviously a lot who aren't, because they don't even bother, do they? And then they look like they're being held at gunpoint when they're wishing good luck to the women's team, don't they?
Oh, good luck. Actually, I don't know most of it, but one was it Phil Jones? He just did a little bit like he was going to hold up a piece of paper saying he was fine and being fed and water before he continued with his.
But that is the thing, isn't it? You think, well, he genuinely had a good conversation with Mary, and that's how it should be. Like you say, two professionals who play in a specialised position, having a chat about it and the technique, and they do play. One plays for the men's, one plays for the women's, but they both play the same position, and they do have that understanding and that connection. By that, it's not that far apart.
Yeah, no, completely. And I remember last season when they mentioned to Mary, I think one of the interviews that David likes her post, and she's like, "Oh yeah, me and David are best mates." You could tell that she was saying it almost jokingly. So just sort of being there, but she was like, and if you look at her TikToks afterwards, I think the woman was walking on air a lot of the time, and that was before she met Nat, who was
she must have thought, "Oh my God, they're giving me the full experience here."
Daisy, you spend a lot of time on your channel and on others looking at the men's game, speaking to men's fans as well. I mean, how would you promote the women's game? Because I do feel like sometimes if we're not careful, we can sort of go, well, it's a cheap way of getting into Old Trafford, and and sort of play it down, bring the kids and the grandma and all that crap. But it's a great product, isn't it? I mean, how do you think we will bring more fans over and keep them?
For me, in terms of the fans in itself, it's all about promoting, to be honest. And I feel like Manchester United in itself, I know everything what they've done at Old Trafford's absolutely brilliant, but you do look at other aspects, even for the WSL, Barclays, Sky, BBC, they could do that little bit more to promote. So you look at MUTV, for instance, you're watching that, see if you watch it all day. But you look at things like, 90s football gets shown over the women's game, and you think, well, do you take the team seriously? Then you look at instances like the academies are getting shown over the women's team. I have no issue if you want to show the academy, but it should be first team, academy. That's how it should be, in my opinion, anyway, because that is your ladies' first team. And the fact, like, when it comes on an advert, you're not saying, buy your tickets now to watch Manchester United ladies, £40 for a season ticket. You don't see anything like that on MUTV. When you're getting an official programme for the men's team, you're not seeing any of the adverts for the women's team. So it's just lack of advertisement for me. And if you're advertising your games, if you are advertising it as well as you're advertising your academy team, I'm sure there'd be a lot more people who would be interested to go to, like, oh wow, I'm seeing this quite regular. Like you look at some adverts on MUTV, you see like the best ever goal, like of Robin van Persie, for instance, and cracking goal. But then you could do like honours goal from Reading. Do you get what I mean? And then they're like, wow, that's a cracking goal.
Yeah.
I'd love to see what they're actually about.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you add to that, Vix?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the starting point is getting to know the basics of the team. So I'm glad they've done the player profiles this week because, one of the things people say about women's football is, I don't care, I don't care. And if you don't know about something, you won't care, will you? I mean, we now know all those players inside out to the point where they post something on Instagram. We're like, oh my God, they're having lunch. Oh, they're out with Theo. And, like we even know the pets. That's how bad we are.
Yeah.
But, we really care about those players and the team, and we know the ins and outs of it. Whereas if you don't even know any of the players' names, it is difficult. I know when I've been to a few under-21s women's games now, and I'm about halfway through learning the names and the numbers, and the ones who are getting to know, obviously you're like, oh great, and then you've got ones you don't know. But when you get to the point where you know a team and all the players, it does enhance that experience. And we're fortunate, like with things like that, Nat will tell us. But that's what we need to do. We need to sort of help the education, don't we, of people we know who just follow the men's. It's like I might have conversations at work and people go, oh, you're going to the women's football, and I go, oh yeah, and we've got this player who's really good. And you start to have conversations and people show a natural interest. But if you just shove it in the face and go, oh, here's a football team you don't know anything about, I want you to be interested, and you're not going to be. It's impossible.
Well, yeah, no, I think this is it. What would you add from your perspective, Namrata, about getting more men's fans to watch? I appreciate you've got the additional problem of time difference, but once you get into it, you can get the bug quite quickly, can't you?
Yeah, I think really good points made by Mais and Vix both. And I think the biggest example for this was actually the Academy Cup final against Birmingham. So I've never watched an Academy match. This was the first time I watched them. But because you had the MU Women Extra, that fan channel who regularly post updates about these players, so it's almost as if I know them. And so I was really excited to watch them. And when I first started watching the match, I didn't know who is wearing what number, and oh, she looks like that. And you don't really know anything, but you were still so invested. And if you didn't have this, if you didn't have these small bits of information about the academy side, I don't think so. Even though I am a huge United fan, but I wouldn't have the same kind of interest. So I think it's important that you and games like these and the kind of promotion that United are doing, that kind of helps them out in terms of knowing the players. Small things like having the women's section on the website, clearly saying it's men's team and women's team, and a lot has to be done. I think what we're seeing in the last 2 weeks, it's great, but I think we have to do a lot more to kind of do these promotions at a regular intervals. And I mean, global fans, it's not an issue. I've been staying up till 3-4 a.m. since I was a kid to watch United, and I'll do the same for women's team. And I think once you get into it, right, and I say the same to anyone who says, well, it's women's football, it's not as exciting. I'd say that, why do you follow your school team or your college team? They're not the pinnacle of sports, right? But you still watch them because you identify with the team. And the similar way, if you identify with United, and once you actually watch the team, you see that it's actually pretty good football, and the players and the stories and the values are what you really cherish. And I think there's also a lot more, you kind of relate to the players more, you feel a lot more connected to the team, so it's a lot easier actually to stay in love with the team and to follow them once you watch them a few times. So yeah, I really hope this match is like a turning point for a few of the fans.
Yeah, and I think this is it. And as you say, you relate to them, you get drawn in by it, and the more you learn about their struggles and certain players, what they've been through to get there. I mean, the average salary for United is according to last year's accounts, is between 50 to 93 grand a year, or as Paul Pogba might say, a lunch or two for him. Like, there's a bit of a difference, in salary. And I'm not saying that you can't relate to some of the men's team, but you can see it is a different game, obviously, than the men's. But for me personally, you can see that passion and that that skill level that's there, and you can get it's a lot more of an accessible environment to simply go and watch, face to face, and I'm really pleased that it's getting some of the TV coverage that it deserves now as well. One of the things, I've looked a bit at Old Trafford because obviously we're talking about it tonight, but it's apparently one of the biggest pitches in England as well, because everyone seems, when you think of tennis, it has a set dimension. Apparently with football, the pitches can vary. There's no minimum or maximum size for pitch, and it's one of the biggest pitches. So with Skinner ball, Maisie, being a bit more about on the floor and obviously, trying to get a bit of pace going, we should be in a good position to capitalise on that and hopefully make Everton a bit tired as well.
I have not heard Skinner ball in months. I haven't heard it in months. The last time I heard Skinner ball was when we was drawing 1-1. That's all.
I'm trying.
But yeah, I really do think our pace will hurt defenders because when you look at the games that we do have, when we do use them paces, by the time it gets to the second half, you're seeing the opposition team a little bit tired in a way. So then it allows more open space there for Manchester United. So yeah, I definitely do think the pace will hurt Everton, but Skinner, #SkinnerBall, what needs to be done is once he notices a player gets tired on his own team, make a substitute. Make a substitute.
Amazing. I can hear her voice, my style in her voice. Oh no,
you've corrupted her.
I think I have. I'm
shouting down like, here, like, make a substitute.
And actually, if anyone hasn't already, have a look at the MUWC Twitter page where you can watch a 15-minute interview that Mark Henry has done with Mark Skinner, and it is quite an interesting thing. And one of the things that he says is that he's English and he struggles when he hears his name being shouted. He finds it quite awkward. Because it doesn't talk about it being sung, but when he talks about it shouted. And I must admit, as I was driving home to do this tonight, I was sitting there thinking of all the times I was going, Skinner. So I was a little bit, I'm sorry.
You felt
yeah, to be honest, we'll obviously, yeah. We will touch on it a bit because, to be honest, I've been hard on Skinner, and even though he's actually mentioned, I think he said a couple of times in the thing that we've kind of kept him to account as fans. But I'm quite impressed, to be honest. If you think about some of the other WSL managers, I think we've actually got one of the best. Trust me, I'm not feeling ill. I believe this. What about you, Dave?
No, what I liked about that interview he did with Mark, maybe it's because it wasn't with another Mark, I don't know, he just seemed a lot more relaxed. Sometimes he just, what I dislike about his interviews sometimes is can see he's really trying to drive home a point, and sometimes just think, relax a little bit, just be yourself, relax a bit. You don't need to convince us. Just, it was nice to see that conversation, and even like hearing about like what it will mean to him on Sunday and being with his families, his partner and his little girl, all those sorts of things make you much more real, don't you, as a person? But it was interesting hearing him talk about the pitch, you're just saying about it, and he's not fazed by that. But I did think that was the best interview I've seen with him, perhaps because he wasn't directly face onto the camera and he was having a natural conversation. I think it gives you a better insight into him as a person. And I think, I think Mark Henry was conscious about his time. He was going, no, yeah. I'll give you whatever time you need. You support us, and I'll give you that time, which I thought was really nice of him to say. But I mean, Mark could have took him a cake. It was his birthday.
It was his
I'll have to
birthday.
tell him that. But yeah, I think he's what like you say about us holding him to account. I think in the early days, I think he did need that. He'd been in America in a league which has no consequence, and you come to United and all the fans, we want Champions League. So he had to wait, it's very different going from a league where there's no consequences, you don't win anything, you don't lose anything, to then come into, what is a very competitive women's league.
Yeah.
So the start was rough, wasn't it? Like say, skin a ball, like, yeah, let's not go back there.
I know Namrata can't wait to say something positive and glowing about Mark Skinner. So I'll give her the floor, my dear.
I think I think now there's too much pressure. I don't know what I should say. But, no, I think he's done well for me. I don't think when it was announced that he's going to be the new manager, I genuinely didn't think we would still be in a top 3 fight this late into the season. And I agree with Vix. I think he needed. Let's not like sugarcoat things and say he's been brilliant throughout. As I said, this season has been like 3 seasons in one, and they've been very different phases. And I think each of them have been really important to the team, and it's been a learning experience. Because as Vic said, he came from a league where you don't have promotion, no relegation, there's no Champions League kind of pressure on the club, and I think because Orlando had been finishing in the bottom places in the league, so even if he was able to get them in the middle of the table, he was praised a lot by the fans. And before that, he was in Birmingham, and it was the same, that this was a team where they did not have enough budget, and so if he was able to get them in top 4, that was a really big achievement for him. And I think it was really important for him to really understand that he's now the United manager, and the expectations are going to be really, really different from what he has managed so far. And I think he faced that really tough time, and he had all the fans going against him. He had there were the journalists and the media. He came at the time where I think was the most depressing time to be a United women's fan in all our history. And he's, every single thing that he was doing, even the interviews that he was giving out, I'm not a huge fan because I have a very short attention span, so I can't concentrate. But, but I think he's kind of grown on me, and especially in the recent interviews, if you see, for me, the lowest point for him was when after a match, I forgot which match it was, but when we dropped points and he said, I thought we looked really comfortable. And Spurs? For me, that was
away.
Yeah, I think that was Spurs or something. And for me, it was. Yeah, for me that was the lowest point, really. Not the really massive loss against Chelsea or Arsenal, but it was. I was a bit concerned that if the manager has that mentality, how it's going to really bode well for the team. But recently, if you look at his interviews and you see, when we don't play well, he's angry, and he. I know a lot of people say, well, he doesn't take accountability, but I think right now he's talking like a United manager more and more. And I know, of course, there are so many things that he still has to iron out, but, I still say I wasn't expecting us to be in top 3 this season after the kind of summer we had. And the fact that we're still there and we are playing good football. I know we've lost matches against City, we've dropped points in our last match, but during that match, in some phases, we played some of the best football that we've played since we were formed. So I'm still not a huge Skinner fangirl, but I think he's doing something right. And I think I'm really happy that he gets to be the one to be at Old Trafford now for this match.
No, completely. I agree with a lot of points you're saying there as well. I've not really watched much NWSL. But I don't know if it was the time difference on our side when we watched it, but I must admit some of those commentators, I think they're watching golf. And 1-0 to Orlando. Can the other team win? Honestly, Honestly, it's not even that me being dramatic. Give it a go. So hopefully we can definitely bring more of a passion to it, or we will bring a more passion to it. Sky will bring a more passion to the commentary at least. But I mean, obviously, we'll look on the fans topic now as well. And it is important. We discussed earlier that this isn't a one and done. I don't think it will be a one and done. I mean, I think we're gonna have at least one game a year at Old Trafford. Going forward, and hopefully it might be some Champions League games as well. That's, I think, what the goal is. I'll start with you, Maisie. Obviously, we need to strengthen in summer. Is there any obvious areas already? What's on your shopping list, apart from a watch from Mark Skinner, so we can make earlier substitutions?
Well, if I'm going to strengthen one position in particular, it'd have to probably be the centre-back option, to be fairly honest. And for me, with the centre-back option, we never would have thought that we would have had two centre-backs out at the same time. And then, of course, a couple of years ago, there was no such thing as COVID. So Maria may have not even ever been out if that even never existed. So you look at them kind of things, and I just think that the centre-backs are so crucial. Like, with us only having 4 as well, it's like, and especially if we're going into Champions League, we need to rotate. So to prevent injuries. So centre back for me is probably the main one. I would even look at a winger. I think we can't continue to keep playing Russo on the right. I know Russo deserves game time, and she is a centre forward. She isn't a right wing player, and I do think that we need a proper natural winger to help feed the centre forward, because at the moment it just seems like at some games that the centre forward is feeding themselves and then they're scoring. And that's what we did see a lot of Russo, especially at the beginning of the season. So if we had a natural striker instead of having attacking midfielders on the wings, it also helps in the narrow games against the Man Cities, the Arsenals and the Chelseas as well, because they'll be able to naturally glide their way through if needed. And if I was going to say one more position, I might even go for a fullback. We have 3 proper fullbacks at the moment. So Kirsty Smith is already currently out. So we've only got Hannah and we have got Honor at the moment. I know we've got Neve Murphy there in the academy, but especially we need an experienced fullback as well for me, because we couldn't, if we had all 3 of them injured, for instance, or we only had one available out of 3, we can't
winter, because that seems to happen every
exactly. We couldn't exactly throw in Neve Murphy for a Man City game when there's only one fullback, or for the Arsenal game. It's completely unfair, and that's why I think we should go on the market and get another one, and that will also help her with the development.
Yeah, I mean, what the comment before, Karen was saying centre-back and wingers. I think there's definitely a lot to say about that. What about you, Vix? Where would you strengthen us to make? Because we don't just want to get Champions League. We want to make a good show next season.
I mean, I agree with Maisie. We definitely need a centre-back. Wendy Renard's contract expires at Lyon, doesn't it, this season? If we get Champions League, I'd go for a tall, commanding centre-back leader. Sandy Baltimore from PSG, Katoto. You get her, we don't know what's
the most
happening.
expensive.
You have to slow down. Mark's trying to write it down at the minute, so
The problem is we until we know the situation with Champions League, we don't know what we can get, do we? But I agree with the fullbacks as well, because Martha Harris and Kirsty Smith are both out of contract this summer. And though Kirsty Smith has done well when she's played a few games, between the 2 of them, I can't remember them ever being fit at the same time, to be honest. And, at some point you have to get rid of these injury-prone players, don't you? And just say, it's a waste of a squad spot, isn't it? And, you want to be in a position that you do have competition. You should have competition if you've got 4 fullbacks, but half the time we've only got 2 fit. So they have to play anyway.
Completely. I mean, I think the nicest way I could put it, and I heard someone say this, is that we need to set Martha Harris free, let her run free away away to another club. No, I think no. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, Casey along with other people set the original squad up for the Championship. I would say that we are clearly a top half WSL team now. I'd say there's very few people that look like they're struggling at that level, and have left in the squad, which is a good thing. And hopefully, as I say, she can find a team more appropriate to her level, because I think we do need to build up in those areas. What about you, Namrata?
I think I agree with you that, I think our team is really imbalanced in terms of positions. We have like loads of midfielders, and those midfielders who are
Everybody's a midfielder.
everybody's a midfielder, and whoever falls injured, then you send a midfielder to play. It could be defense, it could be up front. So I think I agree, center backs and wingers are the priority for sure. I think a lot will also depend on who's leaving at the end of the season. So Jackie and Ona's contracts also run out at the end of the season. They I think both of them have an option to extend. So if that happens, we'll have 1 year. But I think regardless of that, even if we have 1 year from them, that extension, if eventually we think that both the players are going to be leaving the club to another team, I think we need to then plan for a longer time and get that midfielder, that number 8 for our team, and also get like a really good world class fullback as well. I also agree with you that Casey built the team to for the Championship, and then we've been adding players here and there to compete in WSL. But I think we've done competing in WSL. We should be, it's the thing, like that phrase that you should dress for the job that you want. So you need to have a squad that, if you want to get into Champions League, you should get a squad that's good enough to compete in Champions League. We've made strides in that sense. We've got Bruni here from Leon, and I think we've got Wilder. So some really good players have been added. But I think the focus which has been there in the last 2-3 seasons has really been to add squad depth in the last couple of transfer windows. Of course, Press and Heath were a very different category of signings, but I think now we're kind of done with squad signings, and we now really need to strengthen the first 11. And I don't ever want us to be like, let's just assume we'll have an injury crisis for sure every year, and then plan from there, right? Like if you have an injury crisis in defense, what are you going to do? If you have an injury crisis in the forward line, what are you going to do? And I think we need 2 center backs, not just one. I think we definitely need a winger. And I know a lot of good forward players are available from PSG this time around, but we should look at the balance of the team and not sign like 100 different strikers just because they're good. Because, right? I think 4 things for me then. I mean, depending on how Jackie and Ona's contract situation is. I mean, Stani also, I think her contract expires at the end of the summer. So we might have a couple of midfield spots open as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think my worry that we've got at the minute is that, especially someone like Ona, if you exercise our option, we get her for 1 more year, but we're essentially going to Barcelona. Yoo-hoo! Do you want to pick her up? She's available. You're literally holding her out for them to take her from you. But I know that she's Catalan, and and it's in the water over there that they dream about playing for Barcelona. And you'd probably argue the same about Jackie, that if we exercise her option. So, I mean, one of the things, again, going back to that interview that we saw earlier, Vix, he did use the word "I inherited a squad." So actually, that which I thought was quite interesting, because some people have said that and pointed out about which transfers were Casey's, which transfers were Mark's. So I suppose the more difficult one is because we can't see the future here. But where do you think Skinner wants to strengthen?
This is the thing. He talks a lot about aggressive players, doesn't he? And some of the mindset, he's and the sort of players he's brought in, like Jade Moore. It's like experienced players who know how to win, and they can do the dirty work. And sometimes, to be fair, we are a bit soft, aren't we? when when you're playing against City and Chelsea and Arsenal, they all have players who can mix it, and they don't, they're not soft, are they? They'll, they can mix a tackle, and sometimes we do look like little, girls at times in some of these big games because we've not got that know-how to be a bit dirty in those games. So I think he probably wants more experience, and like Nam said, he was serious about getting into Champions League and staying in those spots. You do need some elite players who have leadership skills and experience of winning, league titles and champion. They've done well in the Champions League, and we don't really have many, do we? We've had players who played for City and Chelsea and might have won bits, but that was one of the things when Tobin came, because of all that winning mentality, it just elevated us that like 20%, and we need a couple of those really.
I think so.
So but I do think he'll probably go for older players rather than younger ones.
Yeah, Nam, I think you want to build on and make a point as well.
Yeah, I think if you look at the players that Casey brought in and Skinner brought in, I think one thing which is very clear if you look at the January transfer window, I think he probably did not have the funds available to sign the players that he would have wanted. But there were reports that we were going after Stina Blackstenius, and we didn't get her, so we went to the next. We went and signed Brune on a loan. But even the players that he got, right, the players he brought into Stendon squad, I think those were the exact areas where probably he could see that we're struggling. So he got a centre back because he knew we have an injury crisis and we will need. And Mannion is kind of injury prone, so I've been really impressed because he's kind of managed to get squad players on a budget who will really improve the team. But he's also, trying to get these really world-class players to sign for us. Where I feel under Casey, if you look at, again, if you take Preston Heath out, because they're once in a, it was a very weird kind of signing for us. But apart from that, if you look at Casey signings, it's mostly been, if you take Jackie out, it's mostly always been about uh, you know not no, none of the players who will really stand out, big name players who will make a difference. She's always been about the team, how she wants it to play. While Skinner has a very good balance of players who will help grow the team at an overall level, but also get these game changers, right? So I think I am really excited for the summer and see what kind of player he brings in. And I really hope that all the players who I mean Jackie and Ona, I really hope they stay, even if it's for one season. But I think right now I'm in a place that even if they don't, I think we are at that level where we can, get other players who will be there for years to come.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, just quickly then, just because it links to that, Lanzel's point here, would you extend Diane's contract? She is only on a 6-month contract, that's correct, and I would keep her for next season. Well, that's Lanzel. I've got a bit of another view on that, but what do you think?
I don't think so. I think she was signed for the 6 months, and if you were given an option to sign maybe one centre back and have her extend for another year, or sign two centre backs who are going to be here for a longer time, I would definitely go for that. I mean, she's been really good, but I think once we sign new centre backs and once we have all our centre backs back from injury, I don't think she's going to play a lot of games.
Yeah, this is it, and it's a shame because she is a fan, and I would love to have her got there when she was a bit younger, and had the number of years there, but it didn't work out for her. And I think she's living her best life for the first 6 months. She's going to play on Sunday at Old Trafford, and I think that's as far as it can go. I think she's a brilliant player. But I agree. I think maybe if we get stuck, possibly she'll get an extension. But most likely she's going to be the happiest person in the world to finish probably this summer. Just to finish on you then, Maisie, with a similar point. I mean, now you've got Skinner's attention. Now you finished shouting at him earlier. What would you say to him?
In terms of, is it in terms of Diane?
No, well, you can bring that in if you want. Just like, where do you think he's going to go in summer? Do you think?
Do you know, for me, where I think Martin Skinner is going to do, because what I have seen to notice with Martin Skinner, he seems to rely quite heavily on the fullbacks to actually try and get something out of it. And that's what I think Martin Skinner is actually going to look for. We have seen some sloppy moments from Hannah Blundell. I'm not going to go into them too much.
You're on fire tonight, Maisie.
I'm not meaning to nasty.
The baton is being passed.
I think he is. He looks like he likes attacking fullbacks, and especially in this kind of a generation of football now, you need a fullback that can do a little bit of both. We know that Niamh Murphy can already do that, a little bit of both, but I think he will want to look for a world-class fullback who can do the both. And if that is the case, I think he will heavily rely on that fullback, especially if Anna leaves, and maybe even if Anna doesn't leave, maybe Hannah Blundell might be dropped. Or she might not play as many games, who knows, but I think that'll be definitely one that I think he will go for, just because he relies heavily on the fullbacks to have that creativity. And in terms of Diane as well, I do really like Diane. She has definitely been, I'm like a little fangirl for me in terms of Diane. I absolutely adore her. And the fact she's a Manchester United fan just makes me adore her even more. And I agree with everybody's point here. Like, if Diane was a couple of years younger, I'd be like, come here. Hug me. But we can't do that, unfortunately. And if we signed her for 2 years, she's 33 now. Would
What is she? She's 33.
34? 33,
I'm not sure.
34.
33.
Yeah.
I'm Asian her even more. Apologies, Diane.
So, of course, a 33-year-old who has already hit the prime isn't going to make the same difference as a 25-year-old who's about to hit the prime. And as Manchester United, we need to be one step of the game, and we need to identify the players who's about to hit the prime so we can evolve next step, if that is us being in the Champions League and us competing for the title. Because you look at these teams around us, these are getting players who are about to hit the prime, who are hitting the prime. We need to do the same.
Yeah, completely. And obviously, we'll just throw it open to anyone just to finish off. Do you think we need another striker? Well, I'll have as many strikers as you want. I'm to strikers as Skinner is to midfielders. Even if we sign Brun permanently.
I just think we need Brun a other, really. I think we'd have enough.
Yeah, I don't think we
need that many games, is there? You need that focal point. Skinner likes a focal point. He had Ellen White, didn't he, at Birmingham? You know, he does like to have that target.
Talking about older people again there. Talking about older players again there.
Oh, God.
No, carry on, sorry.
Yeah, well, she was the one for who he liked, but yeah, it's just whether Brun's going to stay, because they never answered the question, did they? In the questions too, everyone was asking the question.
Yeah, she's not going to go, well, actually, we signed her as a contract, we're just taking the mickey out of you, we'll let it go in June. She's not going to say.
To be honest, what was you going to say, Vix?
Well, with Brun, obviously, we need to see how she fits, because she's come and had that run of games where it was the big three, and then she got injured, and so we've not seen her score yet. If we can see her fit into the team, I think she could stay. But we still need What about
you, Namrata?
I think I just feel like she wants to be here, and I always feel like players who willingly let go of a really successful team like Lyon, and they come to play at United to challenge for like a Champions League spot. I think they also have the kind of mentality to stick with us through difficult times. And I know she hasn't got going yet, so we haven't really seen how effective she is. But I think she's had this time to really adjust with the team and get used to everyone. So maybe we'll not see the effect of that this season itself. But I
Yeah.
think if we sign her, I think we definitely should try to make her contract permanent. Whether we get another striker in her place will depend a lot on what kind of formation we want to play from next season onwards, and if we
Yeah.
get that other winger that we're talking about. Because I think, I just feel that, both Alessia and her, the two amazing players, and I don't think that either of them deserves to sit on the bench. So
Yeah.
you would
Yeah.
want both of them to be on the team at the same time. So if you're having two strikers there already, having a third striker, a good enough striker, does not really make sense. So it's a, as I said, it's really imbalanced right now, and we'll have to make a call. But uh, I kind of see her still, uh, you know, again, depends. I don't really know. Depends on us getting a Champions League. Depends on how she feels, like if she can be the that integral player for a team. Because with Leslie being around, she's Leslie will always be played at striker if given a choice. So I would love for her to extend, but I would not want to have another striker. I'd much rather have an amazing winger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose I probably haven't mentioned my view on it there. No, in all seriousness, I agree. I'd like to keep her on. I haven't seen enough of her yet, but I trust what people have said about where she's come from and what she was like in Scandinavia. And she is a top class player. We just got to get her firing, and hopefully she's going to be firing this weekend at Old Trafford. And I think hopefully, a fantastic game. We've discussed, we've joked around about how crap the atmospheres are, because they just are in a lot of other teams. And I think, a lot of women's football, especially at the kickoff time, a lot of players are going to be tuning in to watch that game. They might know people on either team, or they might just be interested because there's been a lot of buzz on it. And I'm sorry, if you're if you're watching that game in one of the NWSL places where you get to play in a silent outdoor library on Monday or Tuesday, and or if you're watching it in another part of the country, in this country, you've got to see it as a wow. Okay, I could play. I could have the opportunity, and maybe that'll be a great recruiting video for Skinner when he goes around in summer. And hopefully he can strengthen. I'd like to. I agree. We can't keep playing. Russo on the wing. I think it's like when you get bored on FIFA and start running out with your goalkeeper just because you're bored. You don't put. It's the wrong position for her. She's either a 9 or she's just slightly off centre forward. She's not a winger. A proper winger is Leah Galton, who thankfully is starting to fire on all cylinders, which is great. So all we need to do is clone her on the opposite side, and then we'll be great. And obviously, I was joking before about Hannah Blundell. Yeah, she's made some abysmal playing decisions this year against City mainly. But the thing is, we criticise her because we treat her like an athlete, and we know that she's a lot better. And I know she criticises herself. And I think, to be honest, that's what they know. We're an intelligent fan base, and that you're going to get the love, and you're going to get a kick up the arse when you need it. And I think she will respond, hopefully, from Old Trafford. But I mean, what's great about the panel tonight is that we could probably go on for hours, but I probably will have to bring it to the close if you get too much into the middle of the night for Namrata as well, and we keep going. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great occasion. And what I would say to anybody who just comes across this or whatever on Twitter is just give it a go. Just come and have a look at it. On Sunday, watch it on TV or come to Old Trafford. Watch a great team. Watch great football. You'll have a different atmosphere that will be familiar and different as well. And I promise, Lee is not out of Mongolia. It's very easy to get to. Yeah. It's not as bad as people say it is. You don't require planes, trains, and automobiles to get there. Yes, it hasn't got a train station, but it's easy to get to by car. You can get to it on the bus. And to be honest, with the fan base that we have, and I could speak personally for this, you'll get to know people, and very quickly you'll probably get lifts and stuff offered as well. Honestly, you can get there. It's not that difficult. It's not in the middle of nowhere. There are a lot worse places, Kings Meadow, for example, and Boreham Wood, where really you do wonder how the home fans get there. So it isn't that bad. And if you go Old Trafford on Sunday and you think, you know what, I'll give the next home game a go, which is the next weekend against Brighton, we'll just do our socials in a sec. Speak to any of us online. Speak to Only One United on Twitter, MUWC, and just ask the question. There's no stupid question. How do I get there? What time is it? We'll help you out. We're just trying to grow the fan base and make it as the best and biggest in the league, which in my opinion it already is. So Maisie, how we find you?
It's been brilliant to come on. Thank you so much for having me on. You're absolutely smashing it doing these shows. Andy and Vix is an absolutely brilliant channel. So it's been an absolute honour to be on the show weekly. My YouTube channel there is Devils United. I do all Manchester United content, and my Twitter is @2_MUSE Mais.
Yeah, and as you say, Vix, you started this, and I want to say thank you again for starting it and having me on here as a host. God, you must have really struggled to end up with me. No, I'm only joking. Thank you for that. It's been very good for me as well. But yeah, so obviously, apart from Only One United, where else would somebody find you?
Yeah, at Victoria Lysons. And yeah, you're all doing a good job. You can come back next week.
Got me in a rolling contract, I tell you. Namrata, what about you?
Yeah, I think great podcast. I really like kind of light-hearted content here, and great match coming up. And yeah, my Twitter handle is @Namrata_YTV.
Brilliant. And obviously mine's at AJO_87, which is rapidly becoming a Man United only Twitter page, but technically it's my personal one, so you get the odd random other stuff going there as well. But yeah, thanks for everybody's time in the comments. Thanks to anyone who's watched us and listens to us again on Spotify when this goes on Spotify. And keep supporting the channel. We'll keep supporting you, and we want all the same thing, which is just a United win, and hopefully we'll get one on Sunday. So until next time, bye for now.